Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of T1 and disappointed fans of G2, welcome back to the Gold Advantage on the Best3 Network. I'm your host, Nikita, and with me, as always, are Scoot and a little drunk BMB, who is in a very jolly mood, as I'm sure we'll find out more from this episode. We're here to recap the Rumble stage of MSI, which has just concluded yesterday. Pretty up and down over the course of 5 days. So much up, so much like positive, but then also so much like what the fuck
so much
just happened.
anarchy.
Yeah.
And then for it all to settle positive. Exactly how everyone thought it would.
Yeah.
Oh, except you, right?
I mean, did I go on a limb and try to make a fun prediction? Yes, I did. Did it come out to be wrong? Absolutely no, it did
not. It's a fun prediction until it's...
You try to make some content.
You try to make a real prediction.
Oh, sorry, are we in the business of creating content? I think we fucking are.
We definitely are.
Yeah, but you were being legit. You were being legit.
And guess what?
Turn one of your bad calls into a...
For a minute there, G2 looked like they might lose. EG...
You know who...
Definitely looked like they might lose.
You know who saved them?
The Buffalo?
EG. I think EG saved them at the end, I'm pretty sure, from their own fate. By beating a minor region, which they did all week. Let's be very clear. The highlight of my week is that EG doesn't lose a single match to a minor region.
We talked about that.
No, Scoot. The way that EG saved G2 is by literally just being the fucking whipping board for G2 the entire fucking MSI. They literally... Whole tournament.
They can continue to be.
Not only can...
Because now they don't have to play.
Not only does EG not have a problem beating... not only does G2 not have a problem beating EG twice, they don't have a problem beating them 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. It doesn't fucking matter. They can play them fucking 30 times. I think it would be 30.
That's exactly the point. That is exactly the point, though. It hasn't mattered yet, you know? It hasn't mattered. It hasn't factored in. EG got it done.
But you know when it will matter? When it's the finals. G2 versus EG, and then EG will come alive.
Oh, yeah.
Lower bracket run.
That is exactly what... There's no lower bracket, so it's only backs against the wall gameplay
I guess
from EG.
The bracket is higher on my screen, so actually it's a higher bracket run. They're going to beat RNG. They're going to go into the final. G2 is going to come in, beat T1, who is not undefeated. Yeah. Scoot was wrong about that. And
but the odds on that were great. Let's be very clear. Woefully wrong.
I hope you guys were not taking that T1 undefeated the whole tournament.
3 different teams.
Okay.
That's a big fucking problem.
And your point is? Yeah, well, I mean, 1, they haven't played these teams all year. They're not conditioned to play them. And 2, they've lost maps in their fucking best of 3s in Korea. Like, they play best of 3s all year. They're not a team that's going to shine in best of 1s. I mean, they did in the group stage, but all they were doing was
let me talk about the group stage.
Does it exactly? Do best of 1s even count?
Well, more importantly,
that's the real question.
I mean, they barely. They're still second. Like,
but what happens when you group all the best of 1s together into a best of 5?
But you're not repeating into a best of like it's not. You don't have the stacking ability that you do and the learning that T1
last week we were here asking the question: Is T1 the greatest team of all time? I'm here now asking you this question: Is this T1 the most overrated T1 team of all time?
Oh yeah.
I mean, they literally lose to 3 mediocre teams. G2, who didn't come in first in their group, RNG, who didn't come in first in their group. Like, the reality is, these guys can barely scrape by amongst the other RNG? Level of competition within the world.
Wait. Where's this RNG who didn't come first in their group? Because they went 6-0 in groups. That's just incorrect.
In the LPL.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah.
Just like it's
the LPL is
G2
still
didn't come in first.
That's
G2 didn't come first
because they're playing 300 games
in the LEC.
No, in the LPL.
No,
I'm
saying G2. G2 in the LEC.
G2 might not be first in the LEC, but they definitely are first in the LEC.
But here's my point.
Well, they won.
Is this offended Rogue fan moment? I saw that.
Hold on. Get the fuck out of here.
All I'm saying is this T1 team the most overrated team of all time?
No.
It's a serious question.
Absolutely not. I would say Rogue is more overrated than T1.
But they're properly rated on this podcast.
Well, the fact of the matter is that when we get to best of 5s, they're gonna shine. And I know you know that's true. I know.
I do believe that. I do think when they get to best of 5s, they will shine. The problem is that if we look at the overall, they played 10 games, so it's 2 best of 5s. You know, one of them they lost 3-2. It's concern.
I mean, if we're doing averages here, like they didn't lose anything. Fuck.
I like it. I absolutely love it. They were for a minute there. They were 4-3.
Okay. And
I don't know what that means, but okay. I mean, yeah. On a serious note, Saigon Buffaloes shit the bed.
They didn't shit the bed. They were just
they just got outclassed. I feel like
they're outclassed. And by the way,
I think they played well. I'm actually
I don't know. I mean,
completely agree.
2-8 is bad. Like
2-8 against the best competition, arguably
that they're gonna face all year.
That they're gonna face all year.
Yes. Yeah.
And they are the second best team in their region. Like we're forgetting that they did fairly well, but I
guess who they beat. Guess who was one of those fucking two?
G2.
T1.
Honestly, at this point, they're called G4.
Okay, well, I mean, you went from saying they're G1 day 2 of the Rumble stage.
We really jumped the gun on that one.
And then everyone's like, 24-0, 24-0. That's what they're saying. Like,
I think so much of this was just like so up and down. Like there was G1 coming in, big wins on day 1. T losers, just kind of like T coming in last, more like it. And then RNG just came in and suddenly like won. But then I don't know what happened to G2. And I think so much of it is
honestly, God, what happened? They go a whole day. I think they were like 5 losses in a row.
Whole big meta shift towards like massive team fighting, and I don't think G2 drafted proper team fighting.
But that's what's weird is that they were so good at team fight. Like when they beat T1
that was their bread
on the
and
first day, they were getting outclassed in the laning. They were getting outclassed on the one-on-one fighting, but where they were able to fucking resurrect themselves was around the team fighting. So I am surprised.
But then they drafted weird.
Yeah, it's just very surprising that would be that they would have those issues.
I mean,
I also think teams
how they won the
adapted to
LEC.
each other.
Like,
I think teams adapted to one another. Is the other thing. It's hard though. This is again, I'm not a fan of this format because as much as talking shit about the format,
it's terrible format.
It's best of one. So
yeah,
you kind of the teams adapted from one game to another. Sure, that was interesting. But outside of that, it just was really. It's hard to draw some strong takeaways from this, especially when it comes down to how would they have reacted in the next draft? How would they have changed their approach to the in-game? T1 had some massively questionable decisions around Baron. 3 times. That's basically what lost them the game.
Yep. Weren't committing, right? It was like they would go kind of.
To be fair, I do think I think EG did fine. I'm not unhappy. I'm not happy, but I'm not unhappy. It's the first time Jojo and Danny have performed at the international stage. They made it to knockout, which is the important thing. That would have been the embarrassing thing. Sure. I think Jojo has kind of held his own. He's not been a weakling. I think Danny has been feeling the pressure a bit too much.
Yep.
But
this by technicality, I guess, is one of the better performances that NA has had internationally, and hopefully the run continues. I mean, it would be exciting to see. They're into the knockout stage. They have a chance to prove it and prove that they belong here, and also prove that they are the best backs against the wall team in the world.
Did Cloud9 not make it last year? Did they fucking blow it?
Didn't they cancel last year?
No. They canceled 2020, but they played last year. They were in Reykjavik. They were in Reykjavik last year.
Yeah, after Valorant.
No, Cloud9 did make it. They won spring. Yeah.
Right. But I was saying, did they blow it in the Rumble stage? And they did.
I think so.
Yeah.
They were they made an epic comeback. I remember that they were so close, but then in the last day they blew it. PSG and Mad Lions were the ones who outclassed them.
Yep.
Barely.
I think on the topic of the format a little bit, and I saw a couple of tweets about this today, and I wish I'd liked them so I could go back and give some credit where it's due, but it was just some random angry league Twitter heads, and people are hotheads, whatever. But you watch 100 best of ones of games that you just don't give a shit about to only get 3 best of 3 series, or I guess best of 5s at this point, and what is the point? We're landing in the same spot that we expected to be.
But how would you
with these 4 teams?
But how would you do it differently?
I mean, I think you give major regions at least a way out of, or a bye in groups or something like that. Just throw them in the Rumble stage. something along those lines, and let like smaller teams fight it out to see who's actually the best.
I think
from
the problem with
regions,
that
like
is that when that happens, people don't watch the smaller. So they're trying to get people to watch the smaller groups. But I just think, honestly, I think it's a bit redundant because we're not getting value out of this. A lot of my issues come down, even like with Worlds, it's like I would like a double elimination format. Have 2 streams.
Correct.
Have 2 streams. I don't mind if I'm not watching these matches.
Exactly
but like, give
where
us
I was
like
going.
actual, give us actual content, and then let us not watch it.
Look, I think for having 3 groups, fine to start and do a round robin to dictate 6 people. But once you get to 6, let's just have a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket and have it be double elimination. And guess what?
Yeah,
you just decide the best 2 teams get a bye based on the best record. And I'm sorry that Group C has 3 teams right now. It's supposed to have 4, and hopefully next year it does.
That's not. Shit happens.
I mean, format.
I would
for
actually say
pretty much, like,
RNG and T1 shouldn't. They're the ones that should get the bye. Just give them the bye. Let NA and EU actually play against these other regions in best of 3s. Like we don't have to.
It could honestly be
based.
It could be based on the previous year's World Championships. The 2 teams that
That's
were.
what it is based on.
something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Even so, it's disappointing that pretty much across the board, individual league and their playoffs are more entertaining than this, international tournament where you get the chance to set the stage for Worlds, heading into another split where you have to watch domestic. Like, you get to know where teams stand a little bit, and it doesn't even seem like we really do because we haven't only seen them play best of 1s. Like, and now you get a chance to see best of 5s, but like
twice? So it's a little bit tough.
I have a pretty good idea.
I have an idea, but it is. I mean, like, I definitely don't think EG's gonna be G2. That's for sure.
Guess who else has a pretty good idea? The sports books.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but given how it is, it's a shame now. All we're going to get is like 1 best of 5. I guess the fact because G2 and EG got put into a group, I've seen plenty of G2 beating up on EG. But I would have liked to have seen
someone needs to call the cops. It's abuse.
It is.
Yeah.
It's non-stop abuse. Scott, stop looking
disgusting.
at porn on your phone. God damn it.
No, I was looking at my fingernail because I hate talking about NA losing to EU.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
fair.
So,
That's fair.
because we can't have a constructive conversation about the Rumble stage beyond some teams are good, some teams are bad. Do we actually think RNG is the favorite?
Book has him as the favorite. I don't know. Like, I mean, it would pain me to say anybody other than T1 is the favorite. Like, they still should be.
Chris?
It goes without saying. And not to mention the fact that Chris said it before in an effort to make them look bad.
Overrated?
But 4-3, they've now won 3 straight games, and I believe they are also hot headed into this.
You think so?
Final stage.
You think they're on fire?
Faker is so hot.
Let me play some devil's advocate. Did they lose on purpose, just to take the heat off of the continued?
No, not in front of the Korean crowd. Did you see how salty the Korean crowd is?
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying.
When anyone but Korea isn't winning, it's silent.
Yeah, but like, think about this. To maintain.
I'm thinking.
Well, it is hard for you to maintain the undefeated season into semis and finals to try and keep that shit going. Like, it just creates so much undue pressure.
Well, it's not undefeated. It's still undefeated.
No.
If they win MSI, they're undefeated.
But they had literally not lost a.
No, they had lost.
Game.
They'd lost.
They hadn't lost a game. I know they lost a map.
A series?
They lost maps.
Yeah.
They hadn't lost
But
a
like,
series.
in a best of 1, that was losing a game. Now I know Korea doesn't do best of 1s, and so therefore they hadn't lost.
I don't know.
I don't know if I
It's just so
agree
hard
that
to
best of
consider
1
Rumble
is
stage,
losing a
like-
game.
I mean,
They did.
It isn't.
They
It is.
literally did.
It is. But then
the overall argument here is that
Ah,
if they win MSI, it's still a
counts,
perfect season, and like the best of 1s that they lost along the way don't really matter.
Okay.
So long as they advance through to the next stage, it counts as.
Well,
it
let me
counts
tell
as
you
a-
what. They could have used getting the best record in the Rumble stage because they're up against a team that I think kind of knows how to play against them. And so
I said this last one. I said
is
that
RNG,
RNG and T1.
Right. So to answer your question directly, and I'll let you go. RNG has to be the favorite because they're playing EG, which, again, no disrespect to EG, but RNG is just a better team. Therefore, you can guarantee RNG's in the final, whereas as much as we love T1, GT1? You cannot guarantee that T1's going to be in the final in that matchup unequivocally. And so to me, RNG is the favorite. Nikki, Scoot, I know you want to talk, but
that was a great point. I could see the alcohol just like cutting off the oxygen supply to your brain midway through that. It just fell apart there. Great point, Chris. Moving on. Scoot, why don't you try and recover from this?
You're making a lot of fucking guarantees, and there's only one thing that you can guarantee in an EG best of 5, and that is a Danny Ace, baby. That's what we're coming with.
Is that attach is going to get a slice of the pie?
Yeah,
I mean, Danny's gonna get his ace every playoff.
Do you mean a penta or do you mean an ace?
Yeah. Sorry. Penta. Yeah. I guess it is also an ace, and if nobody dies and Danny gets his penta, my bad. It's an ace, but yeah.
He'll probably get it 1
So in the group stages, I said that if T1 matches up against RNG in the finals, I think T1 wins automatically. I said if T1 matches up against G2, G2 might be able to beat them. I still actually kind of maintain that. I still think that you're right. That
T1
G2
can't play G2 in the final. So
I think, unfortunately, that's been shattered. But now I do think that whoever wins, I think if T1 wins, I think they beat RNG. If G2 wins, I think it's up in the air. I think it's one of the two. But I do think that G2, if G2 plays at the level that we saw in the first on the first day, where Caps is really popping off, Jankos is playing great, Broken Blade was doing phenomenally, then I think that they have these opportunities like just to win through team fighting, and the meta is around team fighting. And T1 has been making objective mistakes around Baron and a few others that allow teams to take a win. And I think G2 is good enough to do that and to kind of execute that game plan, so long as they draft the right team comp to enable that. So that's like my takeaway there. I think it's actually a competitive match. EG, RNG, I don't think it's competitive. RNG T1 is a bit of a weird one because what was their record? I'll just quickly check that.
Head to head.
Wait, what was your question?
I think T1 won on the last day.
Was it 2-0? Yeah, then T1 beat RNG on the last day, but I'm trying to find
1-1.
It is 1-1, yeah. And I think that's kind of tricky to.
I mean, there was a minute there where T1 was 0-3 against the best 3 teams.
Yeah, and then then they've done well at the latter side of it. So I think if they come out of a good series with G2, I do still maintain that. I think.
Do you think that they changed the meta just to help T1?
No, meta's not changing. They're staying on the same.
To help T1, they lost the 3 games.
Yeah,
it wasn't. If anything, like they shine in just being individually insane players. Their weakness, I guess you could say, is like decision making and maybe team fighting, but it's not a weakness.
Scoot, tell me
one of the most decisive teams on the map.
Tell me right now.
Usually
G2 money line 4.58.
Actually, EG money line. EG's gonna beat RNG.
So
you guys are
EG,
so fucking
so this
slept.
is obscene. RNG is 1.038.
Yeah.
EG is 14.1. I mean,
you guys are like.
I would put $1 on that, just because
everyone's gonna say it. Everyone's gonna say it. Oh, you have to take like these odds, whatever. Like you're obligated to pretty much because there's no fucking way that anyone's betting for
now it's
4.
It just went down
under a percent.
I think,
or under 10%.
I think you literally just bet on it because now it just went down to 12.39.
Yeah, because the RNG line went up to 1.046. Like that's ridiculous. But also, I'm saying this literally. EG is going to beat RNG. And this is a prediction. It is not like I should bet on this because you just should. Like it tells you that you should. But no, they're going to beat them. It's time.
I think
it's time for USA.
How are they going to
North America to step the fuck
How are
up.
they going to beat them?
Oh, you want the numbers? Now you're pressuring me.
Give Give me details.
You
here.
want me to say 3-0? You want me to
give me
say
details? No, the problem is
okay.
like from a actual how are they actually going to beat them? Danny needs to kind of step up, but also relax a bit because he seems to be forcing things. I think Jojo can continue playing the way he is. But we need that kind of loose, dangerous energy that we saw from EG when they were playing against T1.
Look,
but who has
TL,
keyed
sorry,
in the
TL.
most? Who has keyed in the most loose energy when it matters? Like, we know that he's capable of doing it. It's just a matter of getting it done now. I also like. We really need to see them do what they did in North American playoffs, which is, pick the comps that they're comfortable with, that they've experimented with, that are a little bit out there, and not overstep on that. And I think like they're capable of doing that and staying in it. Like they're getting fucking disrespected by this line. Let's be clear. Like it's still fucking esports, and you still have to get on the stage and perform. And there's a chance that RNG just fucking flops like China has in international tournaments randomly. So like. Even those odds you have to take. Yeah. But I still think EG is very capable of winning this, and they've had a bad best of one go of it. So I don't
necessarily think that they are actually. I don't think they're going to win.
That's fine.
But I think the way they win, there's a lot around.
They're going to lose with
how you draft the bottom lane, how you draft like the meta changed around bot lane about which ADC you can pick. But we know that the advantage here is that EG is a really good team fighting team. We know they're a really good team fighting team. We know they have the micro. So they just need to kind of match up the aggression from the LPL and play like they don't have anything to lose and just go out there. And then maybe, they do get the upset. That's the only way. I still think it's a 3-0, 3-1.
I think that's the key, Nikki, right there. And that is why my bet for this match is the plus 2.5 at 2.19. Just for them to win one game.
Yeah.
You can get 2.19.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Agreed.
And it was a little bit better.
I will say this.
By the way, you can get over 3.5 maps at 2.3. So I actually think that's better.
I actually
if this goes 5,
I have the exact same number.
If this goes 5, which I mean, how likely is that to happen with EG playing? Right? They're a 3-0 team, but
yeah,
no, seriously though, every map that EG wins is added pressure to RNG to not lose to NA. Like that's a huge part of this. Like you can't have a Chinese team losing to a North American team in an international.
By the way, if you pick RNG 3-1, you can get 3.4.
It's pretty solid.
It is pretty solid, I think. So there are some odds. I mean, like, look, if you EG 3-0 RNG 46, 3-1 for EG is 29, and 3-2 for EG is 23. I mean.
You know what I wouldn't bet?
You know what? At those odds, I would just put like $1 bet on each one of those, because you're covered. If by some miracle it hits, you're making profit. So
let me tell you what I'm not going to be putting any money on is the RNG minus 2.5 at 1.69. Terrible odds. Yeah. Way too much risk.
Dude, I'm so excited for this match. Honestly, I think EG steps up. Like in my heart and in all this copium I've been sucking down in the bathroom before the podcast.
Yeah, are you okay?
It's time to go. I'm so high on copium.
You are very high. So
unfortunately, I don't have any odds for dragons and towers and stuff like that. What I do have is an interesting stat around red side, blue side. Red side gets first dragon 75% of the time. So
is that just asking right now in the way the game's functioning, but they have a lot of prio over the pit coming from the other side, right? Like that makes sense.
Yeah, typically. So it's red side will be closer, so they'll be on. It affects how you match up and what kind of vision you can get on the Herald or on Dragon, and typically one side might get priority on being able to have vision in the jungle on the top side, which lets them get Herald, which means that the other team will react to that by getting Dragon. That's typically how it works.
But does it make sense that there are more open lanes into the river from the side? Not like open lanes, but you don't have to go around the pit.
Yes,
to like get
but exactly. But that's like 2 Herald or 2 Dragon because it's mirrored.
Yeah.
So that does change things in that sense. So I think that's an interesting stat. There's not so much beyond that I have. I would probably go RNG first tower as well. The next match.
So interested.
The next match. T1 G2. This is a bit more even. 1.205 for T1, 4.58 for G2. So now, even. Again, I've said it. I think G2 has a shot here, so I would take that 4.58. I think that's like a pretty good, it's generous enough and realistic enough. I don't like any of the bets really on the T1 side of things. I mean, even the minus 1.5 is 1.497, so I don't love that. The plus 1.5 for G2 at 2.64, I actually think that's pretty good.
There are actually two bets in this match that are good, and neither of them are actually pertaining to the game itself.
Right.
But T1 outright to win now is 2.0 odds, which I think is, fairly reasonable. If they win this series, they're probably winning it all. And G2 to win outright is 8.2. So, like, if G2 takes down T1 in a semifinal, it's probably pretty real. Like, we're looking at a G2 that can win MSI at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think those odds are insane. I really don't think any of the game odds are crazy. I mean, G2 moneyline is fairly reasonable, but I'm not going to bet against T1. I just think it's not an action that I would take coming from the stance that I've had on them all year. But I understand the go.
Here's the answer. T1 minus 2.5. This is going to be light work. I know that we've seen G1, and by G1 I mean
G1?
G2. Yeah,
Jesus,
they were G1 for one game. Now they're like G4. We let them have their taste. And this is not going to be like for one match, they took them by surprise, and T1 went through a bit of a identity crisis, or just like, a bit of trying new stuff. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I can guarantee you T1, now that they've seen G2 in their full, came back, clapped back in the most recent time they played. And I have no reason to believe that this doesn't just a quick 3-0. Unlike where I actually think EG will get a map against RNG, I have no reason to believe that G2 is going to even take a map.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think they lost 7 maps in 18 series, I believe, in the LCK, which, I mean, like, they don't...
Overrated league, I've heard.
Yeah, overrated. It's not like Gen G as Chovy. Yeah, I don't know. I think G2 can definitely take a map, to be clear, but like, God, it's so fucking hard to talk shit about.
I will say if you did minus 2.5 for both games, which is very, very possible, 4.39.
You're doing EG minus 2.5, right?
Oh, sorry. That would actually
give me EG T1 minus 2.5, both ways.
You want EG and T1 minus 2.5 on both ways?
AKA sub in EG 3.0 if it's not available, because that line probably doesn't exist.
I don't think it exists. Let me
We're looking at probably like 80-ish.
Thrilling content.
Let me pull those up right now.
I can't figure it out.
It's great. This silence is. I'm gonna have to edit this shit out while BMB tries to find something. Anyway, look.
Literally,
the fact is,
it won't even give it to me.
It won't give it to you. Okay.
It's 2.559 for T1 and then 46.0. So I'm guessing the total there would be 90.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90
so
something.
with, let's say, T1 RNG matchup in the finals, BMB, are you saying you're taking RNG?
No.
You take T1?
Yeah, absolutely. This is my team.
Scoot, same for you?
I think the manner with which T1 beats G2 is going to matter a lot for me.
Well, when it's a 3-0, then what's going to happen?
It should be a 3-0
It should.
if you look at them in the scope of their entire season. However, it seems like there has been a slight adjustment to playing internationally, as well as like they did lose some maps domestically, and then they would just bounce back and destroy
correct.
it. Like that is their game.
Correct.
Their game is just being better than you over time.
Yes,
it's like an
over
MLB
a series,
team, like,
not over like one
again
random,
and again and again.
So I could see them like 3-1 is a reasonable victory over G2 for me. They drop map 1 and then they just win 3 straight. If it gets weird in that like back and forth, I'm not gonna be huge on it. But again, I think like in recent history, outside of last year's final, Korea has also had China's number pretty much across the board. So there is that as well.
Yeah, I think like.
Except for
I
when
don't know.
Game 1
I said it. Look, I think
number.
T1 wins. I think T1 wins. I just think T1 across the board is the better team. I think we've seen even just the way they played.
Yeah. I agree.
Across 5, the games they've lost, they only lost 3 matches. And the 3 matches that they lost, so much of it was T1 beating themselves, just making a dumb call and then committing to it way too much. And then throwing it in that sense. I don't think they do that 3 times in a row, no matter what match we're talking about. That's where I really struggle to see them losing, because against RNG, do I think it'll be a 3-1? Yeah, probably. I think it'll be 3-1. I doubt it'll be 3-2, to be honest. Even then, maybe.
No value on
but I think it's
other.
I think it's going to be a 3-1, and I just think T1 will win map 1, probably map 2. RNG will adapt for map 3, and then T1 will close out map 4. It's like the way I
dead ass serious. If G2,
maybe we flip it and RNG wins map 2 if they're really on the ball and they're like firing and they come out with like a nice comp and they just go ham. But yeah, that's I just think across the board when you look at the matchups. Individually talented wise, you know, Gala and Xiaohu are huge on RNG, but then matching into Gamayusi and Faker, that's kind of enough said. The team fight meta has been big, and yeah, LPL does fight a lot, so they have experience there, but I haven't seen them dominate in a way where it's like, oh, no one can compete with them with fighting. In fact, if anything, I would say that like when I've seen G2 at their peak fighting, I was more impressed by that than I was by RNG's fighting.
Totally.
But also LPL fighting is a lot of like one-off one-on-ones as well, and like unreasonable combat that they just end up winning, as well as like some pretty good ganking. Like they love to get violent. So like it's across the board, and the team fighting is good as well.
But ganking to get violent works when the other team gives you an opportunity to. Faker is like notorious for people camp his lane and he'll just play so safe and still get the farm and be totally fine. So he doesn't, you know, that when that pressure is on, he doesn't feel like he has to prove anything and put himself into a dangerous position. He just sits back, lets the rest of his team do well. And I think that's something the LCK particularly does really well. And I think something that NA
they don't overstretch themselves.
They don't panic. So like if someone's getting camped,
panic.
They chill and they let the rest of their team carry them. Whereas I feel like in NA, quite often what happens if someone is
have to compensate.
They have to compensate. They have to bring someone into my lane and so on. Instead of just saying, you know what, I'm losing my lane. You guys win yours. You're now free to go. And I think that is something
that's such an interesting point. Like whereas the Koreans and the Chinese kind of like are a bit more flexible. They don't have to have their 1-star player. If he doesn't have it, so be it. Guess what? Someone else will fucking perform. Whereas NA is just like hyper focused. Like, okay, this is our guy, and this was our strategy. Cannot deviate. If he's not doing well, then let's give him all the support necessary to get him back to where we need him to be for us to succeed.
But that's what TL and Vitality were supposed to be. Like technically, if you really think about it, you bring in that much firepower, you're expecting them to play that way.
Then they don't play that way, and that's the important thing.
That's the biggest issue.
Is that they bring in that much talent to be set up to do that, but then they don't like trust it. It's kind of like you defer to the best player.
I think the problem with NA more than anything is a short-term mentality. Like they have to be winning now. They are not willing to sack a season or 2 seasons to build something long-term. It's always like, let's win now. And I think we saw that with like LS and Cloud9. And you know
who did do that? EG did build towards that. And so they actually, they've been that historically they've been the whole gatekeeper, and now that they were building up their farm system exactly. So
yeah, and to be fair, I think Rogue
T1's
as well.
done, or 100 Thieves has done it as well.
Like 100 Thieves, like there are teams that are getting towards it, but I do. There's a lot of reaction. Yeah. I mean, like, look, I say that LCK, if anyone loses, they get so much shit. We just don't hear about it because it's in Korean. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure put on the players there, and I think it causes a lot of burnout. But I'm just saying that, there is a lot of teams in NA are built to win NA. That's
agree
the thing.
With
Winning NA, as much as they say no, it's all about winning worlds.
Not true.
They care more about winning NA.
They paid a franchise fee, not in Worlds. They paid it in NA.
Yeah, and they want to win.
But it would be nice to win Worlds.
Of course,
it would be nice. All right, I think that is it. There's not much more to say. We're all predicting T1 to win it all. Odds are not great for this at the end here betting, so I hope you guys made your money in the group stages. We did say that we're going to be upsets. I don't think we predicted this many upsets, but hopefully you were riding that train and you got those odds because they were pretty generous on the upsets that did come up, especially the EGT1. Who could have predicted that? End of MSI. It's been fun. Little taste of international tournaments. This is the real week that's going to be interesting.
So more than anything, it's getting me excited to get back into the league play. I think we said that last week as well, but I'm just ready to see more league play.
Yeah, so am I. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Best3 Network. You will find a link in the pinned tweet to our Discord where you can come talk shit to us. If you think we are right, or if you think we are wrong, or if you just want to be part of the gang, please join us over there. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, come find our YouTube at Best3 Network on YouTube. Launched a couple of weeks ago. Support has been great. We're really happy for that, so thank you so much. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, all that great stuff.
Definitely comment.
Talk shit.
We enjoy the comments.
We
had a great comment this week.
We did.
About Chris wearing glasses that said 4 Eyes seems angry. And
salty.
That is the highlight of my
4
week
Eyes seems salty.
Needless to say, that's why I'm not wearing glasses today. They made me.
It's very true. He was
bullied me into no glasses.
It's unfair.
Sorry, Nikki. I hijacked your outro.
No, it's fine. That was about it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Say goodbye, boys.
Toodaloo.
Later.
There we have it. Bye, everyone.